Hey everybody, it's GauntletX and welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and today I'm going to be playing another premiere draft of Shadows over Innistrad Remastered. Without further ado, let's get into the draft. We've got a sweet opening pack here, tons of different ways to go that are all quite powerful. First off, for the commons, we have a Galvanic Bombardment for a great instant speed burn spell. For the uncommons, Deathcap Cultivator is a great mana dork that can also get Death Touch later in a Delirium deck. Ongoing Investigation is a very good value play that's going to give you a ton of clue tokens throughout the game that you can use to get far ahead in card advantage. But then the rare Innistrad Mob is a very solid card for any black deck. 6 mana for a 5/5, not the most exciting thing ever, but anytime anyone casts a spell, you get to remove a +1/+1 counter from it to make a 2/2. So for 6 mana, you're going to end up eventually getting 5 2/2s, which is 10 power and 10 toughness for that 6 mana investment, spread very wide across the board. So we'll go for the new Scraft Mob there. A bit slow, a bit expensive, but pretty high power when it goes off. Pack 1, pick 2 now. Pretty good red burn spell. I think Fiery Temper is actually a bit worse than Galvanic Bombardment, because the Bombardment is always 1 mana, whereas this is only 1 mana when you play it for the Madness cost, so it's much less consistently efficient, whereas Bombardment, again, always a 1 mana instant for 2 damage, so it's really not that much worse when you do have Madness, and a lot better when you don't. But it's still a good card. Fiery Temper definitely still great for the Madness archetype and okay in other archetypes. We've got Erdwall Illuminator in blue here. Very good if we find a lot of ways to investigate, being able to double up the amount of clue tokens we're getting, double up the amount of card draw we get out of those spells, and it's also just a 2 mana 1/3 flyer, which is a really nice stat line for such a cheap mana cost, so I think I'll actually go for the Erdwall Illuminator here. See if we get a lot of investigation to go with that. Alright, pack 1, pick 3. I do like Ongoing Investigation a good amount, and it would fit really well with the Erdwall Illuminator, but there's also a Town Gossipmonger pick 3, which I think is just one of the best cards in the whole format. A 1 mana 2/3 that attacks each turn if able but has a fire breathing ability would be a completely busted magic card, and this is not that far off from that. All you need to do is play any other creature alongside it to tap it and turn it into that, so it doesn't attack the turn you play it or the turn after you play it, but from that point on, it is very overstated for the mana cost, and I'm just going to take Town Gossipmonger over Investigation. I think it would be super fine to take the Investigation there and start solidifying yourself into an archetype, but I like to play it kind of loosey-goosey at the start of most of my drafts and dance around with just the strongest card in each pack, and I think Gossipmonger was definitely the strongest card in that pack by a bit. Pack 1, pick 4 now. We've got a Deadweight for black, Anguished Unmaking for black-white, Elder Cathar's pretty fine in white, Fiendbinder's okay-ish, not as exciting, decent miniature Wrath of God in black here as well, but I think the best cards are probably Deadweight versus Anguished Unmaking, the black removal spells. Deadweight's a little more flexible because we don't have to end up in black-white for it to be played. And this is also a very good card at helping trigger any Delirium cards. Those are cards that want you to have 4 different card types in grave. The easy ones to get in grave are creatures, instants, and sorceries, so having some enchantments to end up in the grave, some artifacts to end up in grave, always nice for those kind of decks, so I'll take the Deadweight here. Pack 1, pick 5 now. Got a Weirded Vampire for Madness, Tattered Haunter for Spirits, and just for an evasive threat in general. A lot of white cards in here, but none of them are very exciting. I think Hope Against Hope is not the greatest, not the most efficient. Aura. Geist is just good if you have a lot of spirits. A 2 mana 3/1 is just a 2 mana 3/1, and the 2 mana 2/2 is just a 2 mana 2/2. A lot of filler stuff overall. Kind of everywhere in the pack. The best card might even just be the really big Vampire Combat Trick. Yeah, I don't love any of these cards, but I think the 2 mana 2/2 with a decent enter the battlefield effect's probably the best, and it's a great card to curve into off of the Gossipmonger. Mostly taking that because of how much I like Gossipmonger, and getting a lot of 2-drops you can play in a deck with Gossipmonger is pretty important. We do see a pick 6 Battleground Geist for a potential blue-white Spirits deck. We are 2 cards deep into white, 1 card deep into blue, and one of those blue cards is a spirit. One of the white cards is a spirit. That could be pretty good. We'll go for a Battleground Geist here. Pretty happy to try that out. Pack 1, pick 7. That's a pretty late ongoing investigation. I think I will scoop that up, although there is an Ironclad Slayer, which would be very good in black-white with deadweight. If we can play a deck with multiple deadweights, just cast it on one of our opponent's cheap creatures to kill it, and then pick it up again with Ironclad Slayer, that would be pretty busted. Actually really close here. Ironclad Slayer is a lot less flexible than the investigation. This is going to be good for any blue deck. But this could be so good with our deadweight here. And again, the black-white color pair, we get to keep Innistrad Mob. I guess I'll keep bouncing around here. I'll take an Ironclad Slayer there. Drog Skull Shieldmate's a pretty good 3-drop in white. Just flash it in, eat your opponent's 2-mana 2/2 out of nowhere. Pretty fine. Wretched Griff's a pretty good blue card too, though. But deeper into white, we'll take the Shieldmate. Another Shieldmate. There's a Traveler's Amulet, which could fix our mana if we end up splashing at all, and it is also going to put an artifact in our grave for any Delirium cards we might pick up. So could take the Amulet to be flexible, could also just take the Shieldmate, or a Midnight Scavengers is a decent value play for a black deck. I think I'll just take the Amulet here. Right, blue-white dual land, an Amulet, Crow of Dark Tidings is okay. Not too much going on here. I'll take the blue-white dual. Be helpful if we do any combination of the 3 colors, any splashing going on. Take an ongoing investigation here. Definitely take it over Imprisoned in the Moon. This is one of my least favorite removal spells in the format because of the fact that turning your opponent's permanent into a land forever is actually giving them quite a bit of value if you play this early. And even if you play it late, it's still going to help them spend mana into mana sinks or clue tokens or anything like that. So it's not fully a 1-for-1 removal spell. You're giving them something actually kind of valuable in replacement for whatever you've killed. I'll just play an Elder Cathar here, go with our white humans. Not much here. We'll take the Apothecary Geist if we end up in blue-white. It'll be fine. Really not a big fan of Deny Existence. I'll take the Weirding Wood, but I don't think we'll play that either. And shove a Faithbearer Paladin in there. Pack 2, pick 1, we see a Mind Rack Demon. 4 mana for a 4/5 Flying Trample. When it enters the battlefield, mill 4 cards. At the beginning of your upkeep, you lose 4 life unless there are 4 more card types among cards in your graveyard. So that can be very, very painful drawback, but a 4 mana 4/5 Flying Trample might be worth it. We definitely want to go heavy into Delirium themes for that. The only other cards in the pack are Ongoing Investigation and Genius Scab for blue. Tattered Haunter also pretty good. I think I want to take the Mind Rack Demon here. That does seem pretty strong. If we can curve into that with a bunch of aggressive creatures, that's going to be blowout. Probably ideally in black-white, because we'd have our deadweight in that color pair, helping fill out Delirium. Yeah, we've got a lot of filler right now. We definitely need to start committing very soon to 2 of these 3 colors, ideally. But we've got a Traveler's Amulet and a Port Town to help splashing. So we'll see. I don't like any of these black or white cards really much at all. I guess Crow is solid with the Mind Rack Demon because we want to fill that graveyard a lot for that card to not shoot us in the face. Don't think I'd take it pack 2, pick 2 though. How many clue tokens do I have right now? It's not enough. I've got Ongoing Investigation. That is my only way to get a clue token, so it's not really enough for Daring Sleuth. Could take the Drew Now Corpse Trawler for blue-black zombies, could be okay. Could be great with the Newscraft Mob. You know, I might dislike this pack enough to just take the Crow of Dark Tidings. Get a self-mill card to go with the Mind Rack Demon. Ooh. Relentless Dead. Double black for a 2/2 menace. When it dies, you can spend a black to return it to its owner's hand. You can also spend an additional X to return another zombie with mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. That seems pretty explosive. I'm going to take that here. Could definitely be blue-white spirits with this Nebelgast Herald, but I think I'm going to go just black-white rares or blue-black rares. Play a Relentless Dead, a Mind Rack Demon, and a Newscraft Mob. That could be pretty explosive. And we'll go in that direction here. Ghoul Caller's Accomplice is a fine card for the black deck. 2 mana 2/2 replaces itself with another zombie later for 4 mana. It's not excellent. I think we are heading in that black-white rares direction, or just a black-based rare deck. Play all of our very strong bombs. Well, 2 of them are definitely very strong, Mindwrack Demon and Newscraft Mob, but the Relentless Dead, I guess Relentless Dead and Newscraft Mob are both potentially pretty slow, but high power over time. Ooh, Dark Salvation? So for 3 mana, you get to make 1/2/2 zombie and give something -1/-1. For 5 mana, you get to make 2/2/2 zombies, give something -2/-2. Yeah, that's pretty good. And if you have any other zombies on the board, then it's even better than that. Yeah, that seems pretty ridiculous. We'll take a Dark Salvation. Mono black bomb rares continues. We're not going to be mono black. We're definitely black white or black blue, but primarily black. We want to focus up on that color at this point for sure with 4 rares. That's definitely where we're going. Okay, Olivia's Dragoon is pretty great with Madness cards. That's going to let us pick up cards like Geese's Bidding a lot higher. And none of the blue or white cards are good enough, I think, to take one of those over Dragoon. I mean, Cultist is pretty solid, but we know we're going to run every black card we take, whereas with blue and white, it's a little more iffy. We don't know which of those colors is going to be a splash. We don't know which is going to be a main color in the deck. I don't want to be extra committed to black or white, or blue or white here, sorry. Pack 2, pick 7. We've got a Laboratory Brute, which is a zombie, which is a good creature type, and it mills us 4, which can help with our delirium stuff. Do I take that over a Dragoon? How many 2-drops do I have in black? 1, 2. 1 blue 2-drop, 1 white 2-drop. Probably don't take that over Dragoon, but it's interesting to consider. Trying to commit to like blue-black zombies here, maybe. Rise from the Tide's very good if you have a ton of instants and sorceries, but we don't have a lot. You kind of have to draft around that deck. We have 1 sorcery. That card's going to do nothing in our deck. Well, kind of awkward to get another Dragoon here. Now I wish I just took the 4 mana 3/3 zombie. Gruul Razor is nice for a zombie-centric deck. Being able to reanimate a zombie from grave, but Ingenious Scab is just a really good stat line up front. I guess Ghoul Razor, again, more likely to make the cut because it's in black, but we can go blue-black, take all the blue zombies. That would be a very good place to be. All right, now we get a Drew Now Corpse Trawler versus Ghoul Razor. Probably the Corpse Trawler is a little better, but it is 4 mana for just 3 power and toughness, which isn't that good, but the activated ability is quite solid. Take the Corpse Trawler. No zombies in here, but we can take a Cultist. I already have 1 ongoing investigation. Because it doesn't impact the board in terms of power and toughness like a creature, I don't want a million copies of that. So kind of awkward. We just opened a lot in the draft pod. I don't think any of those look playable. Take a Drown Yard Explorers now. Epitaph Golem. Pack 3, let's get some sweet blue-black zombies payoffs. Ooh, we wield the Laboratory Brute. There we go. 4 mana 3/3 zombie. Mill ourselves 4. Definitely use that card. Here's another Deadweight to help with Delirium and give us another cheap removal spell. It's probably going to be the pick. We could wheel Graph Harvest or Advanced Stitchwing as decent additions to our zombie-centric deck. Let's go. Come on in, Deadweight. Could still play this Traveler's Amulet to help hit Delirium, get another artifact in the deck, and then maybe just splash in the Ironclad Slayer for the double Deadweight value. And we have a Port Town in here as well to help with the white splash. So we could just go Port Town, 1 Plains, 1 Traveler's Amulet. Splash in 1 white card. Kindly Stranger is very good if we can hit Delirium, but Spellcaller might be a pretty strong splash. I guess Spellcaller is a lot stronger the earlier you can cast it in the game, and if we're splashing it in off of just like 2 Plains, 1 Dual, and 1 Traveler's Amulet, we're not always going to be able to play it turn 3. We're going to have to wait till a lot later in the game where it's going to be quite a bit weaker. Still is a very strong card. Is that strong enough to try to be white-blue instead of black? No, we have like 4 black rares. So it's just, is it strong enough to splash over Kindly Stranger? And because it's such a good early game tempo play, I think I'd rather just take Kindly Stranger. Because again, it just kind of gets weaker the longer the game goes on. Take the Kindly Stranger there. Another Newscraft Mob? Let's go. Yeah, let's go. Maybe I'm overvaluing that. Maybe it's a bit too slow, but whatever. All the black rares, let's go. There's a certain death here. How much removal do I have? It's not a lot. Actually, it's just 2 deadweight Dark Salvation. I probably take certain death over the Crow. Even though it is a big slow removal spell. I would really rather not have to play an Imprisoned in the Moon, but we did just go over how I'm very low on removal. Got a lot of self-mill. Rise from the Grave might be okay. Don't think it's great, though. We might just take Wildfield Scarecrow for another card that helps us splash and really fuels Delirium. Fengraf could fuel Delirium by putting a land in our grave, but it's also a colorless producing land in a deck that's probably splashing. How many zombies do we have in the deck? 7? That's probably enough for Ghoul Raiser to be pretty good. Just 3 mana 2/2, draw a zombie from our grave. I don't think I want 2 Wildfield Scarecrows. We're not splashing that much. We're going to be splashing like 1 card. Yeah, I'll take another... I'll take my first Ghoul Raiser there. Now another Ingenious Scab seems quite strong. Bard Malevolence is an okay combat trick. But I'll go for the Scab. Yeah, let's not go without green. I guess I can play Weirded Vampire in here. We have 3 copies of Olivia's Dragoon to discard it. Probably doesn't make the cut, but maybe. Alright, here's a Graph Harvest. 4 mana to make 2/2s is not a great deal, but can grind out a long game. Game goes long, and then late game we just start using it as a mana sink to keep making creatures. We'll try it out. See how well it plays. Terrarium can help us splash and put an artifact in our grave. Take that over the Grotesque Mutation combat trick. All the Olivia's Dragoons. All of them. Didn't get Aegis's Bidding. I think that would have been really nice in here. Alright, we are not going to play Battleground Geist, because I'm not going to play enough spirits. Probably not playing Weirded Vampire. You know, maybe I'm just not splashing, but I'm still playing Terrarium for an artifact in the deck. Yeah, I don't think we have to splash. I don't think I got enough Investigate to go with Erdwall Illuminator. I did get the Ongoing Investigation. If I get those 2 together, that's going to be nuts, but I think that'll happen mega often. I don't like Apparatus like at all. I could take Field Creeper just for another way to get an artifact in the grave. Well, Foulbloods is a zombie. Sure. I don't think Foulbloods is the greatest, but it does have a good creature type for us. Interesting one to build. This is 23 creatures. We have Dark Salvation in our non-creature slot that can pick up another... Well, that can produce more creatures. We also have the Graph Harvest that can produce more creatures, so we're probably just cutting 7 creatures here. Not so sure about a full play set of Olivia's Dragoon with no Madness cards. That's probably not where it's at. 2 mana 1/3 flyer is decent enough. I'm probably playing this even though I only have 1 way to investigate, really. Play the Accomplice, play the Relentless Dead, yeah. So maybe some Dragoons get cut. Not a lot of good ways to use Cultist, but it is a decent value play just straight up. Keep all these zombies in here. Keep the Kindly Stranger. Foulbloods is also a zombie, so I'd probably try to keep it in. I think I'm doing really good on zombies, though. I've got 11 now. Foulbloods, I think, is our worst 3 mana zombie. Because we kind of need cards like the Crow to help fill the graveyard for Delirium. Oh, I have no instants in this deck. That's pretty awkward for Delirium. But I actually have 3 enchantments and 1 artifact. 4 enchantments, because we have 2 Deadweight, 1 Investigation, 1 Graph Harvest, so that's helpful. Do I have anything in here that can sacrifice a land? Well, I guess I can get lands in grave because I have so much self-mill. I have 2 Crows and a Laboratory Brute. Explorers works well with the Erdwall Illuminator, but that's it. That could be a cut as well. I'm not going to cut all these Dragoons, so I guess we cut these 3, cut like 2 Dragoons. We still have 5 2-drops. Maybe the Necropods get cut here. They are other ways to sacrifice lands, but we can just self-mill the lands. That is a very, very big card, but That is a pretty hefty fee, sacrificing a land every single time it attacks. And we already have some good top end with 2 copies of Newscraft Mob. I mean, come on. That's massive. Yeah, I think I'll cut the Necropods. And then I think I'll actually cut a land for a Traveler's Amulet, because we can just cycle the amulet to pick up the land, and that'll give us a second artifact to help get to Delirium. And then we'll call it a deck like that. Alright, here we have a look at the final deck for today. This is a blue-black zombies deck with a ton of rares in it, so it's going to have some really powerful potential plays. Not a ton of excellent removal. We have 2 Deadweight, 1 Certain Death, and then our rare Dark Salvation. That one is absurd. But overall, a blue-black deck with a decent curve and some really explosive plays. So most of our creatures are zombies, so we can get some extra value out of our cards like Ghoul Raiser, being able to put one of our creatures back into our hand, Graph Harvest being able to give most of our creatures Menace, and the Drew Now Corpse Trawler being able to give any one of our creatures Death Touch, or most of our creatures Death Touch. Also got quite a bit of self-mill, as well as a few artifacts, a few enchantments to help hit Delirium. That is mainly for our Mind Rack Demon here, because if we have Delirium, this is a 4-mana 4/5 flying trample with no downside. So if we can hit Delirium, this card is going to win the game. If we don't hit Delirium, our opponent could pretty easily outrace it because it is going to keep shooting us in the face for 4. So that'll be an interesting one. Outside of that, though, we also have a Kindly Stranger that is very powerful with Delirium as well. And just a ton of, as I said before, just solid creatures on curve. Relentless Dead, also a very good zombie-focused synergy piece that can keep reanimating zombies every time it dies, as well as putting itself back in our hand. So a lot of cool blue-black zombie self-mill nonsense going on. And pretty excited to see how the deck does as we head into the gameplay. We do have a lot of double black cards though, so I'm just really quickly swapping Island out for a Swamp there. And then we are going to get into the gameplay now. Here we are in game 1, not a super keepable hand, we've just got some mana issues, so we'll take the mulligan there. This is definitely better, still has a little bit of mana issues with only 1 black source, but we could just get rid of the mob. It is a 6-drop play. Yeah, quite a while from playing that, and we have to draw 3 more lands before we can get there. We already have a very good card to dump all our mana into if we make it pretty high on the mana curve. So dump it all into this Dark Salvation. Playing against red-green here. Red-green-black, full-on Jund. They're going to start with the 2-mana 1/2 that can tap for a green. Very, very good card. Ramps you up in the early game, and later on it can turn into a 4/6, which is going to be one of the bigger creatures in the game. Alright, Mana Dork into playing a 4-mana card on turn 3 on the play. That is a pretty rough curve for us. We are already very far behind, especially since the Crow only has 1 toughness. I'd have to double block to trade with that. Patrol. Luckily, I do have 1 zombie on the board, so if I make it to 5 mana, Dark Salvation is going to put 2 more on board and give something -3/-3. So we can kill the 3/3 with that. Alright. We're going to play a 2/2 Ghoul Caller's Accomplice and a 3/2 Byway Courier. Play another Crow of Dark Tidings and then a Graph Harvest here. Oh, my Mind Rack Demon, no! Well, I am 3 out of 4 for Delirium, which is nice. Just need an artifact. Or an instant or sorcery. Yeah, we'll definitely have Delirium this game. Send in with the Crow, play the Graph Harvest. I think I need to play it defensive here and trade into the Byway Courier. Again, with Dark Salvation, we can still get 2 more zombies, which can give -3/-3 as long as our first Crow remains on the board. Alright, there's their own Crow of Dark Tidings. Not that worried about killing that because all of our zombies have Menace, so we have Flying Menace. They need 2 blockers to stop our Crow from getting in. Alright, Terrarian from them. This Captive is going to be a 4/6, so we might kill the Captive instead of the 3/3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 mana. They need 7 to transform it. So they will have to tap it down the turn they transform it. If they hit a land, they play a land, spend all their mana, transform captive. That might be slow enough to kill Patrol instead. Yeah, I think I'll kill Troll instead. Or the Patrol, not a literal troll. Okay. Send in the squad. And we're just going to keep making zombies off Graph Harvest if I don't top deck anything. Got plenty of creatures to turn into 2/2s in my graveyard. And they will be 2/2s with Menace. Alright, so they're down to 14. Did I wheel, or did I mill my Certain Death? I did not, so we do still have a removal. I can kill a 4/6 if we draw into it. Got another Deadweight in the deck as well. That can kill the captive if they don't transform it. They can transform it at instant speed, so they can transform it as a blocker. Won't be awesome. Slow them down, trade a zombie into Accomplice. And how many more zombies can I make? 1, 2, 3? But if I attack with everybody with only one blocker up, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, I am outracing them. If they're just trying to flip captive here, we outrace them a lot. Okay, they're going to sack Terrarian and see what they draw into. They're just going to flip the captive, alright. We hit a land. They're at 14 life. If I hit them for 8, we put them down to 6, which leaves them almost guaranteed dead on board. If they don't kill us next turn, they will have lethal on board, so if they have one removal spell, we'll die if I attack with everybody, but if I don't attack with everybody, if I just hit them for 6, and then hold up 2 2/2s, block Abomination, block Accomplice, they're at 8 life, facing 6 power on the crackback. I think I have to just hope they didn't top deck removal here and go for the outrace. Yeah, cross the fingers. We can make it so they need instant speed removal as well, because Graph Harvest can be used at instant speed. So unless they have an instant speed removal spell, we can chump block and then crack back for lethal next turn. Alright, taking 4 damage on board, we're down to 4. A Cursed Witch, that's a 4/2. Can't block any of our Menace cards. Got a Corpse Trawler I can play. I'm just going to send the Dragoon into the sky so they can't block anything. Attack with everybody. Untap a creature, give it reach, so they block there but still take 6. They're still dead on board, I believe. Thanks to all the Menace. And there we have it. All right, really close one for game 1, but we are going to find the victory in the end. Very good work from Graph Harvest. The Menace being pivotal and the ability to make that zombie get that chump block going there. Great stuff there. 1-0 as we head into game 2. Really, that was more a win off of the Dark Salvation than anything. Being able to make 2 creatures of our own while clearing out one of theirs really got us there. Without that, Graph Harvest would have been way too slow. So Dark Salvation as well, being a phenomenal card. But yeah, great work from the rares in the deck for sure. Here we are in game 2 now. I guess we get to see how much work a turn 2 Relentless Dead can do. If I keep playing off curve, I can always put it in my hand if it ever dies. Right, so I play Relentless Dead, then I play Dragoon holding up a black. But also if I play off curve for the whole game, then Relentless Dead actually just becomes kind of a downside rather than an upside. If this card is getting me to just play 2 drops on turn 3 and then 3 drops on turn 4, stuff like that. So I'm just going to play off curve whenever it's easy to do so. Just a 2-mana 2/2 Menace is already a fine aggressive card. I mean, there's a 2-mana 2/1 with Menace in red. That's one of my favorite red commons. So If it gets killed and we don't get to bring it back to hand with its death trigger, that's fine. Still served its purpose as a nice little 2-mana, 2-power menace threat. Alright, yeah, that's exactly as I just said. Still served its purpose there. Hold out the early removal from our opponent. We don't have anything we'll need to convert the mana with later, so let's draw our card right now. Well, that's not how I wanted to tap, but that's fine. Not matter. Got some really, really good plays coming up. A Dark Salvation and a Newscraft mob later. So ideally we can play Salvation on turn 5, so if we hit anything that costs 4 mana or less, I will happily play that next turn. Deranged Whelp, there's the 2-mana, 2-1 menace I was speaking of. Another land for us. Not in love with that. Good Salvation for just a 2-2 and kill the Whelp. But I'm so close to making 2 2-2s that feels like a pretty big loss in value. That's worth just playing it slower, not curving out perfectly. Like ideally we just hit literally any non-land and then I'll just play anything. I would play a 2-mana 2-2 here and be happy. Or a 1-mana 1-1 even. Having the only options be Dark Salvation or nothing is rough because I really want to wait on that Dark Salvation, and I also really don't want to just cast nothing. Oh, get a trade here? Sure thing. Alright. So we're under no pressure to curve out super optimally here, which is helpful. Triskaidekaphobia, they're going to try to put me to exactly 13 life? Our opponent has dreams, and I'm into it. Yeah, if they don't have anything on the board, I'm actually just going to keep this Dark Salvation, especially with double Newscraft mob. This is going to be a fun game of Magic. Both players are just going to be doing some nonsense here. Alright, Olivia's a Bloodsworn. They can unfortunately give that haste, but there's a deadweight to kill that. They chose not to give it haste, so they're holding up 3 mana for something. Do I play the mob here? I really need to not be at 13 life. If I'm at 13, I just lose. It's basically just dealt 7 to me, just by them playing it. I feel like I have to play defensively enough that I'm supposed to just Dark Salvation here, instead of playing a mob right now. Then if I hit a land, I can play mob plus deadweight next turn. But the cool thing is, if I play mob now, I get to Salvation deadweight next turn. I'm going to get greedy, and I might just die to a Triskaidekaphobia. Because of it, because they make me lose a life here. I go down to 17, they hit me for 2 with Bloodsworn, I go down to 15. Play like a 2 damage burn spell and I'm dead. Triskaidekaphobia could actually be an issue. Probably should just killed that, but I am so greedy right now because of just the fun plays that can be made. Beginning of Enchanted player's upkeep, they lose a life and you gain a life. I'm at 16 right now. Oh, why is there so much math involved right now? Oh my god. Okay, so if I play mob and then I deadweight the witch, hit them for a bunch. I could also Dark Salvation for 3. That might be better than mob. No, it's probably better to mob deadweight here. Witch attaches itself to me. Triskaidekaphobia puts me to 14, and then the witch puts me to 13. Oh god. Wait, no, it's Wait. 15, 13, then the witch drains me. I think this stacks up poorly for them. I don't know though. If they have any kind of burn spells in hand, they can back it up however they want it. So it's each player with exactly 13 loses, then they drain. So if they hit me with Bloodsworn, I'm going to 15, then I'm going to 13, then I'm going to 12, and then Triskaidekaphobia doesn't kill me. If they don't hit me with Bloodsworn, I'm going to 15, going to 14, going to 13, and not dying because, again, we'll be at 13 after the Triskaidekaphobia trigger. But they could make me gain a life instead. If they make me gain a life, I'm at 17. Bloodsworn hits, I'm at 15. Curse hits, I'm at 14. Yeah, I still don't die unless they do exactly 1 damage somewhere here. Right, I go to 14. Then Triskaidekaphobia triggers. Yeah, they have to have a 1 damage burn spell now. This is terrifying. I am very scared of the number 13 right now, so that's flavorful. Oh, X equals 6. No, 6 is the mana I'm dumping into it, so X equals 3. I guess I should have done that post-combat. I would have hit harder here, because the mobs would have had higher power. Would have hit 2 harder. It'd be at 2 life. Yeah, they can do the lose life, but I don't die, because Triskaidekaphobia does the exact 13, and then the drain. Okay, so I think they just miscounted there. Maybe there was a way they could have killed me there? That's terrifying. This card is too big brain for me, because I would not know how to use that correctly either, because I have no idea how I'm playing around it here. Yeah, double Newscraft mob, as you can see. If that ever happens, that's... I mean, when you hit 2 Newscraft mobs and Dark Salvation, you kind of do get an entire zombie horde. So, that was a wild game of Magic. There are probably some very smart people in the comment section that would know exactly how to stack up into 13 in this game, but I couldn't find the line, and our opponent could not either. At least I think they probably misread the Triskaidekaphobia and thought that it was you get the life drain or the life gain, and then the 13 life trigger, but the 13 life trigger is the first part. So it's the player with 13 loses, then you manipulate the life total. So the turn that you change them to 13 life with Triskaidekaphobia, they don't lose that exact turn. You have to wait another turn, which actually makes Triskaidekaphobia and Infectious Curse just good for me. Because, right, they set me to 13, but then this puts me to 12. And then they have to do the gain life thing, which then I'd be at 13 from Triskaidekaphobia, but then I wouldn't die because Triskaidekaphobia is what brought me up to 13. So... Too much numbers and brain thoughts and all of that. I just play zombies and attack and make a gigantic zombie army, and we will find a victory there. We'll be 2-0 as we head into Game 3. Here we are in Game 3. Unfortunately, half of our hand is not castable, so I think I have to mulligan here. Because there's 2 cards we can't cast, and there's no, like, really powerful cards incentivizing me to keep this. So we'll take the mulligan here. Well... 1-drop, 6-drop, the 1-drop doesn't impact the game at all. That's a sketchy keep. We're on the draw at least. We do have, 5 2-drops in this deck, a lot of 3s. Gotta draw into something, but... This is... Uh-oh. This is at least gonna be, like, even with a 5-card hand, most 5-card hands, I would think. I guess just a 5-card hand that has a 2-drop and a 3-drop might be better, but I don't know how many of those would. Alright, we've got a Kindly Stranger to play turn 3, so we'll have a 2-3 blocker that can block the Hamlet Captain, because that only buffs their other humans. Let's see if we draw a 2-drop. Actually, I probably should have done double black. I don't think... I do have 1 blue 2-drop. But I also have 1 double black 2-drop. So either way might have worked out. Just hit a land there, so it wouldn't have mattered. Our opponent is on Naya, green, white, and red. Here's a Gnarlwood Dryad. And now we'll play a Kindly Stranger to block the Hamlet Captain. Mere Heath Chaplain. That is a very, very good card. 3-1 lifelinker, so it's just going to gain them a bunch of life and trade off into anything, and then it gives them 2 1/1 flyers when they exile it from the graveyard. Super good stuff. I definitely want to try to work on this Kindly Stranger's Delirium, so I'm going to play the Crow. Probably trade the Crow into the Chaplain. Alright, we did hit a land. Once I block with the Crow, we'll have 3 out of 4 card types for Delirium. We'll have creatures, lands, artifacts. Ovenwald Mysteries. That's probably good value because it says investigate. Whenever a non-token creature dies, investigate. When you sack a clue, make a 1/1. Yeah, that is really good. Let's see that combat trick. Puncturing Light. Alright. Trade into the Chaplain. Down to just a 2/2 and a 1/1 here, but that clue token can get them some more stuff later. I am at Delirium, but Kindly Stranger's dead anyway. But if I draw my big, scary Delirium Demon, we can play that freely. Just play some good blockers. Dragoon and a 2/3 scab. And we are looking for a 6th mana. If I top deck a land next turn, it's going to be mobbin' time. Alright, they're just going to crack the clue token, get a 1/1 human, draw a card. See if that changes what they want to play at all, or if they're just going to make some spirits here. Hamlet Captain's pretty great with the mysteries, buffing all the 1/1 tokens. Also a Veteran Cathar, they can start giving a human double strike each turn, and a Topplegeist to tap down our scab. So they can get in a good attack with a 2/3, or they could tap the Dragoon to attack in with Dryad. But I'll 100% trade Dragoon for the Hamlet Captain, because it'll buff their entire board. Well, not their entire board, but most of it. They do get another clue token, though, which isn't great for me. 6th mana, let's go! Newsgraph Mob, never didn't have it. Thank you, top deck. Pass the turn. If they get Delirium, they can still definitely take over the game, because Topplegeist can keep tapping a creature down each turn. Veteran Cathar can be giving double strike to stuff. Yeah, the Delirium mainly for the Topplegeist to be able to tap one of our creatures during our upkeep every turn is very good. But we're just going to try to make way too many zombies. That is our plan. Can't do anything about their flyers, so if they just make a couple more 1/1 flyers and keep hitting us with Topplegeist and a couple other flyers, that is probably their best bet to outrace us. But if they can't do that, we're potentially going to have 10 2/2 zombies in a while. And we'll try to just get too big of a board state, eventually just attack with a ton of zombies. Alright, attack for 1 in the sky. The Chaplain instant speed? No, it's sorcery speed. So if they're going to make 2 more flyers, we'll know about it. Ooh, alright, well, Apothecary Geist is a 2/3 flyer, so they have 3 power in the sky, and they're about to have even more. And they make 2 more flyers. We gotta just play the mob now. We gotta try to get a super big board state here. Every time somebody casts a spell, we're getting 2 2/2 zombies. Could play the Crow of Dark Tidings, but it can't block the Geist anyway. It can only block the Topplegeist, not the Apothecary Geist. Which I guess is an okay trade, because Topplegeist does have a good ability later. But the fact that it doesn't help block Apothecary Geist at all means I think it is weak enough play. It's only going to stop 1 point of damage. That we should just get that mob down there, start getting as many zombies as possible, as quickly as possible, so we have a chance to outrace them, even though they're really going to be chipping at us in the sky. Yeah, they're really going for it. 2 more 1/1 flyers. A Guardian Priest that can tap some stuff down. Alright, that's not super good against a board state of just a million 2/2s, so be fine with that. Probably just send in a million 2/2s because I can get 2 more post-combat. Yeah, we gotta be racing here. Play the Crow over the Brute so I can trade into Topplegeist at least, stop some of the damage. Could send in the Scab as well, trade into the Death Toucher, I suppose. Let's get the Crow out here. Oh my god, we milled our Dark Salvation and our Mind Rack Demon. Kind of banking on drawing another bomb here. And now we have no more bombs left in the deck. Those were the 2 of them. I guess I've got a Ghoul Raiser, but that won't pick up the Mind Rack Demon. Be a decent draw. Relentless Dead's an okay draw. Yeah, we're kind of out of great stuff now. Graph Harvest could win the game instantaneously. So we've still got Graph Harvest. That's our main top deck we could get. We gotta hit it real quickly, because they kill us in 3 attacks, probably 2 if they have any kind of trick. But if they don't have a trick, they kill us in 3 attacks, so 2 more swings after this one. So we gotta get that Graph Harvest, and we gotta get it fast. Just give our whole board menace. Find lethal out of nowhere. Play Laboratory Brute. There's 18 cards here. The odds of our Graph Harvest being in the bottom 15 cards are much more likely than it being in the top 4. Or the bottom 14 are much more likely than it being in the top 4. So if we end up milling the Graph Harvest, it's just more likely that we mill closer to it than that we mill it by playing the Brute. And more importantly, playing the Brute gives us 2 zombies instead of just 1 by using a Ghoul Caller's Accomplice. So I think I'm playing the Laboratory Brute here, post-combat. Five blockers on the ground. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6. I'll have 5 blockers because this mob will die. I guess I'll have Brute as well. Yeah, I think I send 1 non-token in. Oh my god, I hate that card so much. Pack Guardian's way too good for an uncommon. It's not actually like insane here. No, it is still pretty insane. But 4 mana for a 4/3 and a 2/2 at instant speed is insane in limited. I would pick one pack one that over 99% of the rares. I would pick one pack one that over a new Scraff mob. Yeah, that's super bad for us. We're down to 15. And at this point, it's straight up Graph Harvester bust off the top. Got 1 more attack. Alright, we milled a bunch of stuff that is not Graph Harvest. Let's see, can we top deck a Graph Harvest here? I have like exact lethal though, so with Sigardian Priest they can still survive a Graph Harvest. Yeah, that's not even enough through the Pack Guardian. If they didn't have a Pack Guardian and we top decked Graph Harvest, we could win this game. But Pack Guardian gave them more than enough life to survive Graph Harvest. Put us to 1 life here, and they have 2 blockers up, so they can block 1 menace creature. They block the Brute, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. They survive with exactly 1 life if I top deck the Graph Harvest now. Yeah, I think they miscounted here, because they would have been like 100% definitely extra surviving if they just held up Priest. They went for the aggro Priest. No way. No way. Oh my god. Arena's so rude. So we definitely would have destroyed them if they didn't have Pack Guardian. I am certain there is somewhere this game we could have found 1 extra point of damage. That's so sad. Yeah, we definitely missed a point of damage somewhere along the curve that would have just had us killing them here. God. That stings so badly. I cannot believe that. Maybe they'll just scoop. Probably not, though. Yep. That's the saddest thing I've ever seen. Alright. That was a rough one. We needed 1 more point of damage somewhere. Definitely could have found it at some point. 2 and 1. Alright, well this is one of our scariest hands we've had. We do need to hit another swamp, ideally. If we don't, we still have really good late game plays. So we're going to keep the hand open for a swamp here. If not, it'll be kind of a slow hand, but still a very high impact one. Threeban Inspector, turn 1 from our opponent. Did not hit a swamp, but we did hit another 6 mana bomb rare, so let's go. Poke in for 1 with the Threeban Inspector. Drop a Steadfast Cathar. We draw into an Olivia's Dragoon. Well, that gives us something to play. We also just Dark Salvation for 1 2/2 zombie and killed the Cathar. Be okay. Yep, Cathar attacks as a 2/3, so we have to just take that. And a Dauntless Cathar as well. Traveler's Amulet. Well, I need that swamp badly. So we are definitely going to crack that. Does fill some of our Delirium, which is very helpful with a Mind Rack Demon in the hand. I'm going to play it pretty slowly here, take all the trades that we can, try to play a long game with a hand like this that's as explosive in the late game as this one is. And take every trade we can get early in the game to keep our life total high, give us as as long as possible to hit the mana to play all these cards. Faith Unbroken is very good if I don't get a way to kill that 3-bit Inspector. Really good at just pressuring an opponent when you're on the play with a great aggressive curve like this. 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop Faith Unbroken. This is the dream scenario for that spell. Not just 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop Faith Unbroken, but being able to do that and your opponent just not having removal to stop it is pretty devastating. I'm going to play the Corpse Trawler here, because this makes it so if we hit a land next turn, we can Salvation, kill the Inspector, and have 4 zombies on board. Whereas if I go for Mind Rack Demon and I don't mill into Delirium, it's just going to kill me by shooting me for 4 every turn, so it feels like the riskier play to me. We do hit the Salvation, which is a massive swing in the game. Trade our 2/2 into their Cultist, let them draw a card here. It's the Guardian Priest is the play. Pretty good against our Mind Rack Demon. Not super great against the new Scraff Mob, so we will play that instead. No flying blockers here is a moderate issue. Don't want to attack too hard. I have 3 blockers up if I attack with both the 2/2s. I'd rather have 4 up. Play it real safe, but I do want to chip in for damage. Do not want a repeat of last game where I'm missing out on a little bit of incidental damage and it costs us in the end. I think getting in for 2 here is pretty free. Getting in for 4 is a little bit risky. Because they have a tapper on the board to put me down to 2 creatures. Oh my god, a second Faith Unbroken. This time on the flyer, and probably just die to that if I don't hit removal. It's not removal. I can play a Mind Rack Demon, but they can just keep tapping it with Guardian Priest. Ongoing Investigation gets me some clue tokens to dig. Better to dig than to just play Mind Rack Demon. All I need to hit for Mind Rack Demon to not shoot me in the face is a land, which is not super hard to do. If I'm going to play Mind Rack Demon, I definitely play both Demon and Investigation. Get a trade and get a clue. I think I play the Mind Rack Demon. If I don't mill a land here, we're just dead. Okay, we milled a land, so we have Delirium. We actually have 5 card types in grave, so we're very safe from shooting ourselves in the face, but they can just tap down the demon, hit for 3. Means we have to top deck removal for that flyer. We've got 1 turn to do it. Unless they have a combat trick as well. Wow, alright. That was kind of an unstoppable curve of cards. 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop, Faith Unbroken, flyer to follow it up with another Faith Unbroken. Don't know what we could have done there. Kind of a predetermined game. We head into game 5. Here we are on the play for game number 5. Got Terrarian and Traveler's Amulet. They're a little redundant, always rough to hit both in the opener. So we just want to get that 1 artifact in the grave for the Mind Rack Demon. But could go Terrarian into Salvation into Mind Rack. Salvation turn 3 for just a 2/2 that gives something -1/-1. Isn't super great, but it'll put a sorcery in our grave, make sure that we can still do something. I'm gonna go double black in case I hit Relentless Dead. It'll make sure there's a sorcery in grave, and it'll make sure I can still do something on turn 3. Don't believe I have any double blue cards in this deck. Yeah, and we've got a lot more black, so we'll take another swamp. Yeah, I think I'm going Salvation into the demon here. Thing in the ice. Well, I mean, if there's nothing Salvation can kill, then maybe not. Especially with Dragoon as the draw, so I can still do something this turn. Gives me a decent excuse to not play Dark Salvation yet. So we only have artifacts in the grave right now for the Mind Rack Demon, so it's probably going to shoot us in the face a little bit, but still worth playing right now. Need a creature, a land, a sorcery. We hit creature, enchantment, land. That works too. Alright, I guess we've got Delirium. Let's go, Mind Rack Demon. Oh, this thing's a 1/1? I kept misreading this card. I thought it was a 2/1 up front. Still a pretty good card when you flip it. Definitely a little smaller on the front half than I remember. Drag under, put the demon back in our hand, sure. Now an Ember Eye Wolf is the play. Just trade our Dragoon into that, and they have to dump mana into it to trade it up. I think this card's pretty bad. I don't foresee myself running that often, because every time that I've seen it in a game, it's always played out like this, where it's like, it's just going to end up trading into a 2/2. Not only that, but you have to spend extra mana into it to get it to trade into a 2/2. So it's just pretty bad for the way that most games are going to end up going like this. Replay the Mind Rack Demon. Kind of interested in playing the Trawler, because if I play the Trawler and then I Dark Salvation next turn, we can give something -4/-4, which is pretty big. We can get rid of that thing in the ice before it flips into the Awoken Horror and becomes way too big to kill. Docent of Perfection. Also, we can kill a Docent of Perfection, which I think is more important to kill because it's immediately a 5/4 flyer that keeps spitting out 1/1s instead of eventually a 7/8. Well, that's pretty bad because I can only kill one of the two, and I kind of want/need to kill both. But we have to kill the Docent immediately, or that's going to kill us really fast. Could double block a 2/2. It's pretty fine. They probably just go free block and then take 2 damage. They might want to play around Deadweight. If they go for a block with Thing in the Ice, I could Deadweight post-combat. Yeah, they're playing around Deadweight. Love to see it. Again, this Ember Eye Wolf is really not very good on this board state against a bunch of 2/2s, so I'm going to kill the Homunculus first. Keep them off their mana. Wretched Griff. Yeah, sack the wolf makes sense. So I can draw a card, have a little mana left. I think I would rather go wide than large here. Got 2 mana up. They had the mana to play this if they had the land in hand when they did. Maybe they didn't. Maybe they drew the land off of sacking the wolf. I guess I'm not attacking at all if I play the mob because they have a 3/4 blocker, but I could be attacking by playing the demon. I don't remember any 2 mana counter spells to just counter this. Yeah, let's play it. See if it resolves. It does resolve. Oh, my Relentless Dead just got milled. RIP Sadness. So I can get attacks into the Wretched Griff, but anytime that I do give something Death Touch, I don't get to play the mob that turn. I probably should have attacked pre-combat, because the threat of activation was probably enough to get them to not block with the Griff. Alright, just a bunch of dorks here. Alright, fair enough. Ghoul Caller's Accomplice is the draw. Alright, here I might have to dump some mana into making something Death Touch and then just play an Accomplice instead of a mob. I can only make 2 of them Death Touch, but I only need to make 2 Death Touch if this is the block. Guess we're not playing any creatures this turn, that's fine. We're trading our stuff very far up. Passing the turn. They've got a 2/2 menace, but we're at 20 life, so I'm not that worried. If they play 2 instants or sorceries, that's where we're going to have an issue. There's one of them and it untaps cards. Thing in the Ice is probably going to flip here. The fact that they had 2 absolutely killer blue-red spells rares here might win them the game. So I could only kill one of the 2. Might get killed by an Awoken Horror. We've still got a decent shot against a 7/8 because we can then just replay a 4/5 flyer that kills them in 3 turns, or we can play a new Scraff mob and try to go wide around the 7/8 to find lethal. They are down to 12, but they almost definitely drew into an instant sorcery there. They drew 3 more cards and they're 1 card for turn. They might be waiting to cast it until we go to combat to try to get us to dump extra mana into our cards before they bounce everything. I feel like they should just use it right now, because then they smack us for 7. We're blue-black, so they shouldn't expect any haste from us. So they probably cast an instant or sorcery now, flip it, bounce the board, attack for 7. Oh, and they can even replay the haste card. Oh, they're going to discard that. They have to discard a card for that? Fair enough. Another new Scraff Mob? Well, need them to not have a lot of bounce spells, but if I just double new Scraff Mob again, that can get there. I'd rather do that than play a Mind Rack Demon right now. I do kind of wish, I really wish I had one more mana. Not kind of. If I could play a mob and a 2/2, that would be so good. I guess I could play Mind Rack Demon and a 2/2, which is pretty good. We still have 11 cards in the deck, so we're not going to mill out unless they have the mill 13 card, which is a Mythic rare. Yeah, actually, I'll go for that here. If I had 8 mana, I'd 100% slam dunk new Scraff Mob Illuminator. Pyre Hound and Pour Over the Pages. Alright, that's no bounce spells for the Mind Rack Demon, so it is going to hit them for 4. Unless they untap lands into a 2-mana bounce spell. There's the land that is so good for us. Get to play Mob and an Illuminator, which produces a chump blocker from the mob. Next turn we get to play another mob. Alright. They're dead in 2 attacks to the Mind Rack Demon. Even if they can kill the Mind Rack Demon, we can keep making more zombies and try to go wide to find lethal by just having a super large board state. They have an instant here. They make the Pyre Hound a 4/5. Most of their instants seem to be like draw spells. This kills a 4/5. They have a combat trick. This is devastating. Or a burn spell. And it's not even devastating, because it's not like I'm attacking with these 2/2s super well right now. Jace's Scrutiny, -4/-0. Alright, fair enough. We still take 0. We get another 2/2. We're still attacking for 4 in the sky. They're still dead to 2 hits from Mind Rack Demon. And I only lose the 2 2/2s? Yeah, that went fine. That was not horrendous. Ingenious Scab is the draw. Do not have the mana to play the mob and the scab. I could play the Corpse Trawler and a scab. Could also just play the Corpse Trawler and hold up a Death Toucher, but I think I want to just hold up as much power as possible against all this trample that they're setting up. I'm going to put them to 3 here. A little extra sketchy. Okay, I'm going to put them to 3 though, make it easier to get a crack back with a bunch of zombies. Okay, they do have the removal for the Mind Rack Demon. So we kill them in 3 attacks in the sky, or we find a lethal crackback with zombies. They send in the squad, and they scoop them up. They don't have another spell here. I was going to say, we can almost definitely find a way to get some chumps here and still have lethal on the crackback. Play it pretty safe, so we're going to do some math there, figure out what kind of combat tricks could kill us, and try to figure out what the best block is, but luckily our opponent is nice and kind. They're just going to scoop it up there. They don't have the combat tricks, so not going to delay it out there. We are going to be 3-2 now, at least an average run out of this pretty sick blue-black zombies deck. I've grown to like this deck a lot more the more that I play it. Not because I think I drafted the deck super well and that it has a really good like curve in the middle or anything. I think this Crow isn't the greatest. The Stranger hasn't been as consistent as I wanted it to be. Accomplice is a little slow. There's some stuff in the main deck that's not the greatest, like Laboratory Brute's also not the greatest, but because this is probably one of the bombiest decks I'm going to draft in the format with Dark Salvation, Double Mob, Mind Rack Demon. Those have been playing incredible. So, been having a lot of fun for sure, and happy to go at least average here with a 3-2 run. We're going to see how far we can keep it up as we head into round 6. Here we are now in game number 6. We have a deadweight to use on their early game creatures to fill out Delirium for Kindly Stranger. Do need to top deck a land pretty soon, ideally. We've got 3 drops and a 4 drop, but only 2 lands in the hand. Also a 6 drop later. Oh my god, alright, well. Duskwatch Retreater is going to do pretty disgusting things to me. I think it's actually better to just let it flip, so they just start beating me down with a 3-3 than it is to just play a Graph Harvest here to stop it from flipping. Because if it draws them extra cards, it's also bad. Right, if I just play Graph Harvest and pass turn, they can choose to instead draw a card off of the 3-mana ability and still flip it next turn anyway to go up in value. I guess I need the game to go long, but this might be a quick loss here. Recruiter, I think, is the probably best 2-mana 2-2 in the format, the best 2-drop in the format, period. Gives you ways to draw cards, ways to cast your creatures for cheaper. It's a 2-mana 3-3 a lot of the time. Alright. And we have missed a land drop, so we get to just give them the free flip. That was one of the saddest deadweights. One of the saddest deadweights. The thinking there is that the 1/1 Death Touch is always going to end up trading up into my biggest creature later anyway. And it's nice to get the deadweight out of the way, so if I top deck a 2-drop, we get to play that immediately and curve out. Plays egregiously poorly if they follow it up with one of the best 2-drops in the game and then we hit no lands. Well, I mean, it's lucky enough that they didn't have much of a follow-up for that 2-drop, but Arena is just not giving us any tools to try to fight here. We have missed so many land drops that half our deck is lands now. 14 of these 28 cards are lands, and one of them is a Traveler's Amulet. And hitting the land now is good, because we did draw Dark Salvation before we hit the land, so we can get a 2-2 and kill the Cultivator, but then I still just take 6 on the crackback because I don't have a good block for the 2-2. Probably still don't find an out here, but a very moderate chance thanks to the potential 2-for-1 here. Oh god, Obsessive Skinner now. Get a +1/+1 counter, and get a +1/+1 counter during our upkeep every time. Alright, well. What are you gonna do there? Kept an opening hand that needed to draw lands and didn't. Pretty simple magic there. The bread and butter stuff that can happen in any limited format. That's just some variance. That is magic, baby. Well, a little sad to go 3-3 with this deck. The deck definitely has issues. It's not the most consistent deck ever in terms of just good quality commons and uncommons in the middle. I think the Crows haven't been super great. They're nice to mill to fill out the Delirium, but only the 1 toughness was pretty bad. The Dragoons weren't really doing anything in here. Accomplice was a bit slow. Illuminator was a bit slow. But yeah, this deck has some really explosive power in it with 2 Newscraft Mob, Mindwrack Demon, Dark Salvation. Played really well in all of those games. Ongoing Investigation also played a little poorly as well. We only played it 1 time and we didn't even sack the clue by the time we used it, so that wasn't the greatest. You know, having the artifacts in here so that Mindwrack Demon never shot us was actually pretty good. I was going to say that I think maybe we didn't need both Amulet and Terrarian, but Mindwrack Demon never shooting us in the face was a pretty big deal. That was pretty nice. But I was going to say Kindly Stranger didn't really do anything. We didn't love that here. Yeah, we could have had some better card quality in the commons and uncommons, maybe. We drafted a bit better, but overall, I think with just the amount of bomb rares that we managed to get in this archetype, this was still a really explosive, really powerful deck, so I'm a little disappointed to have it go just 3-3, but not terrible, and especially when it comes to prize support, the difference between 3-3 and 2-3 is massive. If we go 3-3 and better, it's not too hard to just keep drafting forever, because the worst we can do, if 3-3 is our worst, is get 1,000 gems back. out of the 1,500, and at 4-3 or better, we're breaking even or getting more gems in return. So happy to go at least 3-3 here, get 1,000 gems back. Not bad at all. Again, deck was really fun, had a lot of bombs, didn't love a lot of the filler like creatures and stuff in there. The removal wasn't great, just 2 dead weight. The certain death was really expensive, and we actually just never drew it anyway. Could have played a little better. I probably could have won that game where we got our opponent down to 1 life, and then we would have been breaking even here, which was where I would be really happy at a 4-3. So that would have been nice. Other than that, though, not a bad draft at all. But that is going to end today's video. If you enjoyed the video and you'd like to see some more like it, make sure to like, comment, and subscribe to tell the YouTube algorithm to send you some more in your recommended feed. If you'd like to hang out with me live, you can check out the Twitch channel in the link in the description below. And if you'd like to support the channel directly, you can check out the Patreon link in the description below. Other than that, as always, thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you again soon for some more Magic Arena.